Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Jelma's Convocation in Conversation. Today's program is designed to introduce you to Jelma, the James E. Lewis Museum of Art, and also to highlight an exhibition that's put together by a student in the Museum Studies program.
Beautiful people, how y'all doing? Good. Let's just have a time and word of prayer. Is that all right? All right. Humble our hearts, bow your heads, close your eyes. Gracious God, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for this sacred gathering, this convocation of conversation, where scholarship meets spirit, where art becomes a window into imagination. Lord, we just honor the work and the witness of who we're going to honor today, Frederick Alston. We celebrate not only his artistry, but the ways he captured the beauty and the struggle and dignity of the human experience in the 20th century. We thank you for all the distinguished guests, Dr. Schroeder Cherry, Dr. Walter Gill, and Mr. Jeremy Ballard. We thank you for the James E. Lewis Museum of Art and its ongoing commitment to preserving the stories and souls here, Lord. As we reflect together, just fill your space with your presence, the spirit of curiosity and reverence and unity. Bless this convocation, Lord. Let it just not be a celebration of art, but an act of worship. So we just thank you. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Lockett. So, again, I'm Dr. Schroeder Cherry. I'm the curator at Jelma, the James E. Lewis Museum of Art. How many of you have actually been inside Jelma, by show of hands? Okay. By the end of this presentation, we hope that you'll be excited enough to come visit us and visit us more than once. What I'd like to do now is to give you an introduction to the museum, and that'll be followed by Jeremy doing a presentation on the exhibition that he has actually put together. I know that you are familiar with these buildings on campus, and you're going to have to bear with me because there is a delay in the slides. We worked all of this out early on. Okay. And we're moving toward the Murphy Fine Arts building as soon as we can get that. This is James E. Lewis. He was the first professor of the first chair of the art department at Morgan State University, and he is actually responsible for the museum that we have today. Early on, Mr. Lewis would bring artworks into the classes to introduce students to works of art. This is Mr. Lewis and his wife in the 1980s. Another delay. In 1990, the gallery was changed to the museum, and that's when it was named James E. Lewis Museum of Art. This is the founding director, Gabriel Tanabe. He was a protege of Mr. Lewis and is still the director of the museum today. I feel like we should have somebody singing a song with these delays. Okay, I'm going to have to apologize and just have to wing it. Gabriel Tanabe is the current director of the museum. He's, as I said, was a protege of Mr. Lewis. But we have a series of exhibitions that take place throughout the museum during the year. And so now we can do a walkthrough. When you come into the museum, you're going to see this first area space. We have a guest artist corner. We also have the reception area, and there are some other displays in that first area. And I'm going to keep talking, and maybe the slides will catch up to me later. But what I would like to get across is the fact that we have within the year a multiple series of exhibitions. We have about 5 or 6 exhibitions in the main galleries. And this is our donation wall. All of our works from the museum are donated. We don't buy works of art. They're all donated by people who want to make contributions to the museum. And totally, we have about 4,500 objects in the museum. These include paintings, sculpture, photography, and other works of art. We have textiles and ceramics as well. Our largest collection happens to be African art. That's because we have connections with people who are either born in, lived in, or worked in Africa, and they donate works to our collection. This is a shot of one of the galleries in the first area, and what you see is an exhibition that was put together by students who are part of our summer program. We have a summer intensive program introducing high school students to the professions in museums. This is another shot of that same area. And I can see the slides are slightly catching up to what I want to talk to you about. When you visit the museum, you'll see the permanent collection of African art, and that's an area that stays up permanently. We change out some things in that area, but for the most part, the objects are on view. In our temporary galleries, we have changing exhibits. And in the past, we've had quilts, we've had ceramics, we've had photography, we've had large-scale drawings from artists who are well-known and also artists who are up and coming. This is a shot of our African collection. Okay. I'm just going to go off script because these slides are not progressing as I want them to go. But rest assured that we have within the museum a variety of artworks and different types of objects. These are objects from Ethiopia. Most of our works come from West Africa, but we do have objects that come from East Africa as well. These are shots of installation shots from shows. This is a collage. This is a show, Keeping the Treasure, curated by Robin Howard, and artist Mel Edwards was giving a talk. Okay. Every year, we also have a faculty exhibition. Typically, that happens in April, and that is a show that features works by people who teach art here at Morgan. That exhibition is usually followed by a student exhibition, and those are works by seniors who are in the art program here at Morgan. And this is a shot of the senior exhibition. We also have a digitization team, and these are students who work with us to digitize our collection. We're aiming to make our collections more accessible to a broader audience, so they're doing the yeoman's work in terms of cataloging objects in our collection. Remember, I said we have about 4,500 objects, so that's quite a few things to catalog. I'm not going to delay my presentation because the slide's not progressing, but let me just end by saying we hope that you do come to JOMA many times, just not once, because we have rotating exhibitions throughout the year. We also have public programs, and whenever we have like a workshop or a special program that happens on the weekend or in the evening, as a student, you are welcome to come. Also, our museum is free. We're open from Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 4. I'm going to turn this over to Jeremy. He is actually the main presentation for today, and he's going to talk to you about the exhibition that he designed, Frederick Alston.
Thank you all for waiting with me. I appreciate it. I'm up and running. So listen, my name is Jeremy Ballard. I'm a graduate assistant for the James E. Lewis Museum of Art. I'm also a member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, by way of Eta Pi chapter in New Jersey. Next slide, please. A little bit about me. I'm from Morristown, New Jersey. I did my undergraduate at William Patterson University. I'm also an artist and a published illustrator. This is some of my work that you see up on the screen. Next slide. So I'm not unfamiliar with museums. I actually worked at a few museums back home. I got my start at the North Museum of Art, and then I quickly rose to the Morris Museum in development. Now I'm here in Maryland. I work at the Haberdasher Grace Color School Museum and Cultural Center, Incorporated, and I'm also a graduate assistant at the James E. Lewis Museum of Art. Next slide. So, fun fact about me, a lot of people don't know, I was a tattoo artist for 8 years. So this picture that you see on the right, this is Meg Thee Stallion reposting my work on Twitter. One of my clients, I did a portrait of her on her leg. So we'll see what happens after school. I might have some of y'all as clients too. We'll see. Can I get the next slide? So this is my thesis exhibition. I'm trying to get up out of here. It's my master's degree. I'm done in December, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next slide. So, Frederick Cornelius Alston, 1895 to 1987, was an American painter and illustrator recognized for his landscapes, portraits, and depictions of African-American life and culture. He was an educator, community leader, and a notable member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Next slide. So I was first introduced to the artist's work while working in the collection with the appraisers. My job was to assist in assessing the artwork in the collection. While going through the collection, we came across this piece here. It's called People Perform, also known as Rodeo. At first glance, I saw the Greek letters in the shirt of the gentleman in the middle with the green on. Do y'all see that? Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, who is this artist? What is this artwork? And how does this connect to my fraternity? So if you didn't notice, the Greek letters are out of order. So before we get into it, right, we're going to go through what is iconography. Iconography is the study of symbols and images in art. To understand their cultural and historic meaning, it helps to reveal hidden messages and stories behind artworks, deepening our understanding of how visuals express ideas across different times and cultures. So, a little exercise here. What do y'all see on the screen? What's that first one? McDonald's, of course, McDonald's down the street. What's the second one? Anybody know the second one? Basquiat? I've done this tattoo 1,000,000 times. And the last one, y'all should know the last one. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Can I get the next slide, please? All right, so Frederick Cornelius Alston, also known as F.C. Alston, was a graduate chapter brother of the fraternity through the Iota Omega chapter in Tuskegee, Alabama. He crossed in 1923. He is notably recognized for his redesign of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity shield, which appeared in the December 1923 cover of the Oracle, the fraternity's official publication. So that's on the left, that's our official publication. That's the shield that he designed. So the symbolic and conceptual meaning of this design is an oral history shared amongst only fraternity brothers and members. So if you look to the right, these are two history books from our fraternity. The first one is Herman Dreer's The History of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, 1911 to 1939. The second one is Dr. Robert L. Gill, The Omega Psi Phi Fraternity and the Men Who Made Its History, A Concise History. So that second book is the book of the father of Dr. Walter Gill, who's sitting in front of us. He'll speak to y'all later. Next slide. So as I learned more about Alston's background, I discovered that his family was very important to him. Using census records, I was able to match some of the portraits in our collection with his family members. So the lady on the left is titled Untitled Het. That's actually his mother. Her name is Hetty Alston. The gentleman on the right is titled Grandpa Alston. We are unsure if that's his grandfather or his father, but his father's name was Frederick D. Alston. He was a bricklayer and brick mason. Next slide. So a significant period in Alston's educational journey was his time spent at the Pennsylvania Museum and School of Industrial Art, now formerly known as the University of Arts. He was there from 1915 to 1917. There he studied classical techniques such as cast drawing, industrial design, and perspective. His degree, as well as all his awards of recognition in industrial drawing and illustration, are all in the collection here at the museum. It's also noteworthy to state that James E. Lewis, who you guys heard about earlier, also attended the same school, which was later called Philadelphia School of Industrial Arts, and the name changed in 1938. Next slide, please. So this article that you see on the left that you're looking at, it's the Wilmington Dispatch, June 10th, 1917. It's titled Roll of Honor, Men of Wilmington in Present Crisis. It listed names of white and black men who responded to the country's call during World War I. Alston's name is listed first at the top of the colored soldiers. So he served in the U.S. Army with the 350th Field Artillery Regiment in the 92nd Division, starting as a corporal and ending as a sergeant. He was honorably discharged. Next slide, please. So, Frederick Cornelius Alston spent nearly 40 years as an educator. 2 of those years, he taught at Tuskegee. Then it was called Tuskegee Normal Industrial Institute. He was there from 1920 to 1922. A good fact to know is he met his wife there. Her name was Nan E. Alston. She was working as a stenographer in the principal's office. From what I was told, she was working under George Washington Carver. Next slide, please. So he spent 38 years in St. Louis as an educator. He taught at 3 different high schools. The first school that he taught at was Sumner High School, also known as the first high school for African-American students west of the Mississippi River. Some notable graduates of that high school were professional tennis player Arthur Ashe, rock and roll musician Chuck Berry, comedian Dick Gregory, singer Tina Turner, and founder of Alpha Kappa Alpha, one of the founders, Ethel Hedgebin Lyle. Next slide, please. So Alston also participated in art exhibitions, contests, served on committees, helped organize shows, mentored artists, displayed works at churches, took part in Negro History Week as an artist and an educator. So the first clip, the first article that you see there, that's from the American Federation of Arts, recognizing Alston in the 1932 edition of the American Art Annual as one of America's most well-known artists, knowing that he was among the few black artists to receive this honor and the only one from Missouri. The second article was 1931. Alston exhibited at the University of Kansas Spooner Thayer Museum of Art, which showcased the works of 29 African-American artists, which included notable artists like William H. Johnson and Laura Wheeler Waring. Both artists are in this show that's on display now at Jelma. Next slide, please. So I wanted to share these 2 pieces with you. Miss Cecilia Alston, Frederick Cornelius Alston's daughter-in-law, she's 96 years old. She shared with us that Alston was inspired by Frederick Remington. He was a renowned American Western artist, and also he had a passion for Western films. So this piece on the left that you see, that's Mary Fields, AKA Stagecoach Mary. She's known to be the first black woman to work as a star route mail carrier in the United States. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So these are more discoveries I made. So when you visit the show, I hope all of y'all come to the show, you'll notice that Alston signed his work in various ways. So you'll see F.C. Alston, Fred Alston, Frederick Alston, F. Alston. As I researched him, I discovered different aspects of his life based on the different spellings of his name. So it turns out he was a champion golfer. He helped start the St. Louis American and served as an art director. And when he retired as an educator, he sold Oldsmobiles. And what he did was he created ads for himself in the newspaper that he helped start. Next slide, please. So, lastly, I was tasked by Mr. Tanabe to find Alston's family. Crazy, right? I was given an old landline number that was written on a piece of paper and was disconnected. So please keep in mind the artwork was given in 1996, so that's 30 years ago. So as I searched for Alston's living family in Columbia, Maryland, I found phone numbers to Miss Matusi Alston, wife of Stephen Alston, the grandson of Frederick Cornelius Alston. She confirmed my research, and the family came into the museum, and I had the opportunity to sit down and speak with them. So this is the family along with the staff that you see here in this picture right here. And the rest was history. So one thing I do want to do is I want to thank the digitization team at the James E. Lewis Museum for helping me put together the catalog. I want all y'all to come grab a catalog. We put a lot of work into it. The show will be open until December 10th. So it's right down the hall. I hope to see all y'all at the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. The next section of the presentation is going to lead into a panel discussion, but before that, we have the honor of having Dr. Walter Gill with us today, who's going to introduce himself, and then we'll move into the panel discussion. Dr. Gill?
Once upon a time, as a real small fry, I thought I knew it all and I could touch the sky. Went to colored schools in the neighborhood, had teachers that taught the way they should, had a daddy that taught at Morgan State, grew up on the campus. I thought it was great. The Qs looked out for that chocolate pill, and the purple and gold called him Little Gill. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you all for coming. I want to spend a little time with you telling you about my Morgan State University story. It has to do with the school, of course, visual art, the art department, the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, family, me, and most important, you. My Morgan story starts in 1945 when my father, Dr. Robert L. Gill, was hired to teach here. He taught history and political science from 1945 until 1979 when he retired. Now, he came here initially shortly after he was discharged from the U.S. Army Air Force, and his last duty station was the Tuskegee base in Tuskegee, Alabama. I spent a lot of time on campus when I was in elementary school. And my best friend at the time was a fellow named Michael Monroe. His father was Dr. Clarence Monroe, who was in charge of biology. Dr. Monroe was an Omega man. And Michael's mother was one of Cab Calloway's sisters. I didn't spend too much time here when I was in junior high school. But my last 2 years of high school, I was here every Saturday because I had a newspaper route. I sold the Baltimore Afro-American in my neighborhood and here. And my fraternity brothers, who were still calling me Little Gill, different group of men, young men, so I guess I hadn't grown too much, they would make sure that I sold out every Saturday. So as a result of Brown versus Board of Education, I transferred from Douglas High School to Baltimore City College. And that was because Baltimore City College had the best art program in the city at the time. There was no school for the arts. And as a result, in 1955, I wound up being the first African American to graduate from Baltimore City College. So thank you, thank you. So I came to Morgan and majored in art. And at the time, James E. Lewis was the head of the department. There was a fellow named Albert Santiamo who was here. He went on to do a lot at the Maryland Institute of Art as a painter and longtime instructor, but Morgan gave him his start, and also Dr. Charles Stallings. Now, I wanted to be like Dr. Charles Stallings because he was not only an artist, but he had a doctorate degree. And before, I'm your age when I came here, I thought artists were a little loose and loony, and I thought people who had doctorates were a little stiff and stuffy. But Dr. Stallings was neither of those. He was a balance. Now, Dr. Stallings painted a wonderful mural in the refectory. That was where the students ate. This building is where the Science Center is now. But that building was raised to accommodate the Science Center. And the mural was, thank goodness, it was saved. And that mural is on the campus today. When you go into the student center, the front door, you look up and you'll see this beautiful mural that was done in 1956. I was a freshman here at the time. And it tells the story of slavery to building institutions. I majored in art, like I said, and also took advantage of the ROTC program. My class graduated the 6th month, the 6th day in 1960 at 6 p.m. The speaker was Dr. John Hope Franklin, who's a famous historian. And one of the people who received a doctorate degree, honorary doctorate degree, was Dr. W.B. Du Bois, who used to live in Morgan Park at one time. So I graduated, and in 1963, my father, Dr. Robert L. Gill, had finished the history book, and it was published by the fraternity. Now, a fourth book was published this year, so there are 4 books, but his is the second. And wherever I go in the country, once they find out my father wrote the history book, then I'm a celebrity, and everybody wants to take a picture. 18 years after I graduated, I had an opportunity to work at Morgan. And I was the first faculty hired for the telecommunications program. Now, that program is now the School of World Journalism and Communications. And I got that job because of Mr. Earl Davis, who's right here. Dr. Allen Kennedy took a year to write the program under the direction of Dr. Andrew Billingsley, who was the president at the time. And Mr. Davis worked in media, and I was the associate director of the media center at Bowie. He didn't know me, but he knew of my work. So Dr. Kennedy came down and hired me. I worked here for 6 years in media, and we have a lot of students who've accomplished a great deal, and we hope to document that one day. So I worked here until 1984. For 1 year, my father and I were here together. I'd like to say something about the Omega Psi Phi fraternity and the school, and give you some advice, and I'll be finished. There are 9 Omega names on 7 buildings on this campus. The Hurt Gymnasium was built in 1952. That was the first, followed by the science building. Got the name of the building. The science building, Callaway Hall. Callaway Hall. Then there was the Carter Grant Wilson building, the George McMecken Hall, the Hill Field House, Clancy Mitchell Engineering Building, and the Earl G. Graves School of Business and Management. Brother Graves and I were in school together. He was 3 years ahead of me. Now, I don't think that statement can be made of any Greek letter organization in terms at any HBCU or predominantly white institution of the number of names and buildings. So that's a reflection on the support and the love and dedication that members of Omega Psi Phi fraternity have given to this university. And my last comment is for you. 70 years ago, I was sitting where you're sitting right now as a freshman. And I don't want to give you any advice, I just want to make a suggestion. And my suggestion is for you to be quiet, look at yourself, and take yourself serious. Now, when I say be quiet, I'm not talking about outside quiet. I'm talking about inside quiet. Look at yourself and take yourself serious. Once you do that, you'll find that you'll grow, you'll absorb more, and you'll do much better in all walks of life. I was a little late in terms of doing that when I was here at Morgan. I did all right, but I was a little late. And a lot of people are late. They seem to delay it. But these 4 years you'll find are the best years of your life. You'll never be surrounded by the minds that you're surrounded by. And you have all these professors at your beck and call. You choose them. And the easiest part of any class is going to class, even if you fall asleep. Let me give you an example. I should have taken Dr. Benjamin Qualls. He helped raise me because when he first came to Baltimore, he lived in the neighborhood which I still live in today, historic African-American neighborhood. I kept putting it off. So I took a painting course from Mr. Sangiamo and I got a D. And I got the D because I missed class. And in the syllabus, if you miss class, it affects your grade. As long as you put it in the syllabus, which is a contract, the student has to abide by it. So I took painting again because I didn't want a D on my record. But as a result, I wasn't able to take Dr. Stallings. So take advantage of all the opportunities that you can, all the challenging teachers, do it. And I think your greatest deterrent might be your cell phone. So try and have some discipline and not be on that too much. But as I said, be quiet on the inside, take a look at yourself, take yourself serious, and I wish you continued success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gill. And now we're going to move into our panel discussion. We had some mics for the presenters. You got them? Okay. We have a series of questions that we're going to pose to Jeremy and to Dr. Gill. And at the end of those, we'll have a few minutes for questions from the audience. But first, I want to start off with Jeremy. Jeremy, talk to us about how Alston's artistic style resonates in today's culture.
So his depiction of African-American life and culture resonates highly with today. Just knowing the climate of the world today and how they're trying to erase history, his work is needed, very much needed.
Okay. This next question is for Dr. Gill and Jeremy. Alston designed the shield, you told us that. What is the relationship between visual art and the fraternity?
Let me make a comment on redesigning the shield. The first shield was designed in 1914, the next one in 1919. Frederick Alston's design was 1923. And when you see the three shields, you can see that he brought academic training to it. His shield is full-bodied. He got rid of a lot of negative space. And basically, that same design is in the current shield that we use today. In terms of art and the fraternity, that's reflected in our talent hunt. The talent hunt program started in 1945. A few chapters did it. And the first time it was held was nationwide, was in 1953. Now the talent hunt focuses on 6 categories. Most of them are performing. Drama, dance, playing a musical instrument, piano solo, vocal solo, and visual art. And visual art has been part of the talent hunt for a long time. It's designed for youth who are in high school, grades 9 to 12. It's done at the chapter level. Pi Omega is the name of the chapter in Baltimore. Then it's done at the district level, and then it's done every 2 years nationally for the Grand Conclave. There's monetary awards. At the district level, it's $700 for first place, $500 for second place, and $250 for third place. The visual artists don't usually get a lot of recognition. Their work is displayed at the second district, but it's not displayed at the international. The international, all representatives from all 13 districts participate, and they're given, it's called a demonstration. It's not a competition, it's a demonstration, and all of them are given $1,000. More work has to be done in terms of documenting the graphic artists. Most of the few artists who have been documented have been those in entertainment. For example, Max Roach and Count Basie and Roland Hayes. But more documentation needs to be done, and perhaps showing of visual artists at Grand Conclaves.
So my introduction to arts in the fraternity came through Frederick Cornelius Alston. He was also the art director for the Oracle from 1935 to 36. Another notable editor-in-chief of the Oracle was an art teacher by the name of S. Malcolm Dodson. He was a teacher in Brooklyn, New York. What he did was he used his own artwork on the cover of the oracles during the 1920s, 1930s.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Gill, can you talk to us about the role of the artist educator in shaping the community?
Yes, I think the artist educator has a responsibility to nurture history, to nurture family values, and to nurture social issues. I remember that Paul Robeson said that the artist must choose between freedom, and he was referring to freedom and equity and justice, or slavery. And the slavery was the slavery of the mind, mental slavery. I think the teacher artist should encourage students to visualize their history. Should never forget their history. The Jewish population never forgets their history, and they document it for the most part. That was one of the motivating reasons why Carter G. Woodson did what he did in terms of promoting African American history. But the artist teacher can do it in terms of symbolism, not only what he does, but encouraging his students to do works that reflect our rich tradition, not only in Africa, but also in this country.
Thank you. So that we both know that you're both proud Omega men. Jeremy first and then Dr. Gill. How does Alston's membership resonate with you personally?
Well, his membership is membership. But what resonates with me is the fact that I feel like I'm a disciple, one of the disciples of Frederick Alston. We have so much in common in terms of his teaching and my teaching. He was at Tuskegee for a couple of years and spent most of his time teaching in public schools in St. Louis. I've spent time teaching incarcerated youth in the 1960s, the 1990s, and the early 2000s. Frederick Alston worked at the People's Art Center, a community art center in St. Louis in 1942. It was integrated. I've worked at several community art centers, a Saturday school, a church that had an after-school program, a program in New Jersey for former youth who were released but still had the ankle bracelet on, and a Saturday school in Baltimore called the Paul Robeson School. Many of Frederick Alston's students received awards and recognition, and some of my students received awards and recognition. When I was at the Woodburn Center, we participated in a 4-H contest, and several of their pieces won. They received money, and they were displayed at the Maryland State Fair. Another time, one student submitted some work at the talent hunt that Power Maker sponsored, and he won $100, which was put into his account. And a little side note, I was in the same city that Frederick Alston was at one point in time, because my mother and father taught at Lincoln University in Missouri. My father was in the service, but when I went to the first and second grade in Jefferson City, Missouri, and many times we would go to St. Louis when my mother had a first cousin. Her mother's twin sister lived there. So I was in St. Louis from 43 to 45, same time that Frederick Alston lived there. So like I said, I feel like I'm one of his disciples, although he was pretty stationary where he taught. And I've been various places, loose but not loony, hopefully, in terms of dealing with my students.
Jeremy?
Similar to Dr. Gill, I feel like I align with his story. Very private, shy at times, I'm a worker as well as he was. What his story is, he is the goal for any art brother in the fraternity. You aim to be like him. You want to be like him. You want to accomplish the things that he accomplished. And that's what I hope to do one day.
Okay. Dr. Gill, tell us a little bit about what kind of instructor James E. Lewis was, and how does Alston's legacy intersect with Lewis's vision for Black institutions?
James Lewis was very organized, and he was always very calm. There were two occasions when I passed by his office, and he said, "Go on, Walter, sit down." And anytime you get an invitation to sit down, that's when real communication, I think, starts with you and your instructor. It's nice to have him in class, but you learn so much more after class. And on one of these occasions, he told me about a fellow named Leon Westlow, who discovered him when he was still in elementary school. And he was a white fellow who later went on to be in charge of the art for Baltimore City Schools. Now, it's time of segregation now, but there were a lot of white teachers teaching us during that time, before Brown versus Board of Education. And there was another fellow that influenced him a lot at Dunbar High School. James Lewis is from East Baltimore, you East Baltimore people, and he came out of Dunbar, so you can be proud of that. He stayed in contact with both of these families until he went into the service. Also, in terms of Mr. Lewis's evaluation, he never said that your work was wrong. He would find a way to suggest how you might do it differently. Because when you're creating, you don't make any mistakes. But there are some things that you do that aren't quite maybe in balance, or maybe you rushed it, or maybe it's a little sloppy. And whenever he corrected me, it was like he was rubbing my back and telling me what not to do next time. So it was very easy to receive his evaluations. Also, he believed in purchasing the artwork of students, as did Dr. Jenkins purchased a couple pieces to encourage students to work.
Thank you. The next question is for Jeremy. This exhibition is your thesis project. So tell us what you've discovered about Alston's legacy and what you hope the Morgan community and beyond will take away.
He did a lot of work and left a lot of history behind. One thing I discovered here at Morgan is Morgan has a lot of history on its own that just hasn't been discovered yet. So I encourage all the students here, get in your archives, get in your libraries, and search and ask questions. Every day I find something new here. So that's my advice.
Okay. The next question is also for you. Can you tell us how JELMA can continue to highlight overlooked Black artists?
I think JELMA does an excellent job, to be honest with you. If you learn the history of JELMA, a lot of Black artists came here first. Gordon Parks had his first solo show here in 1962, and that speaks volumes about what kind of institution that JELMA is, that this great photographer, this great man, this icon came to JELMA at Morgan State University to have his first solo show. So I think that speaks for itself.
Okay, and this is a follow-up question to that. I'm going to ask Dr. Gill, how can exhibitions inspire students to engage in Black art and culture?
Well, I think that an exhibition like the one that's present, Frederick Cornelius Alston, his themes will inspire a lot of students to seek their own history. He had religious themes. The piece that was discovered, which brought all this together, was a bunch of cowboys. And we have a rich history in the West. Despite what we see on television, the truth is that one of every 4 cowboys was African American. Also, family. A lot of Brother Alston's themes deal with family. And I think it's important that students research, that you all research your own family. For example, we are closer than a lot of us realize. We hear about the 12 million Africans that were brought to the New World and enslaved. Most of those Africans went to the Caribbean islands and to Brazil. Very few were brought to this country. Somewhere between maybe 388,000 and maybe 500,000. That's not very many people, considering the fact that there are 41 million African Americans. So as far as the people in this room, you might look to the person on your left and look to the person on your right and say, and think, you could be my cousin.
Jeremy? You want to pass on that one?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Well, the next question is actually the last question, and it is for you. What lessons can be drawn from Alston's persistence, creativity, and commitment to education that are relevant to Black artists today?
I would say just keep working. As you realize, this has been in the collection for 30 years, and he's an unknown artist, which is crazy to me, for all the great things that he's done and accomplished. So keep working, and you'll get your flowers. It may not be right now, but you will get your flowers eventually. So yeah.
Thank you. That's the last of our questions. Thank you for the panel. We'd now like to open it up to the floor. Do you have any questions for our speakers? And you're going to have to speak up so we can hear you. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
For Mr. Ballard, what inspired you to kind of pursue art and what led you to Oregon State to pursue a graduate degree?
Well, I started like most people, cartoons, watching Nickelodeon and Rugrats and Dragon Ball Z, all types of stuff, and just drawing. I came to Morgan because I wanted an authentic Black education. That's why I came to Morgan, and I got what I asked for. I had great mentors, great teachers that embraced me, let me be me, and taught me a lot.
Any other questions from the audience? In the back, yes.
Just a question, you kind of touched on this already, but what advice would you give aspiring artists who are trying to make it, I guess, in this society where art is kind of dying, but yes.
What was that last part?
It's like this art is kind of dying in society, so how would, like, what advice would you give aspiring artists? How big is the truth?
What I heard, you think art is kind of dying and you want to know what we can do for inspiration to keep artists going?
Yeah.
Is that? And that was to, what inspiration do you have for artists?
Do it because you love it. Don't do it for the money. The money will come if you keep going. Your trajectory is reliant on you doing the work. So I don't think art is dying. I think that people need to catch up because it's been here. Art is, all of y'all are interested in art, some way, some shape, some form. I think everyone in here is an artist in their own right. So it's not dying, it's just evolving.
And I would like to add to that. I would say that Baltimore is actually a very vibrant city in terms of artists. We've got a lot of people who are producing art in various forms. So get out of, in addition to coming to the museum and looking at our works, get off of Morgan's campus and take a look at what's happening around the city. You can take a look at Creative Alliance. There are other galleries that are situated. North Avenue is pretty lively with artists. We have, coming to the Baltimore Museum of Art, for example, we've got Amy Sherald, who's going to be opening up the show because that show was canceled at Smithsonian because of political situations. So take advantage of the things that are actually available to you here in Baltimore. It's pretty vibrant. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Dockery. Thank you for this amazing presentation. As a Fiskite, of course, I love art, and Fisk is a beautiful place for art. I have a question about whether or not there were any parallelisms or any crossovers or connections between Alston and, say, Edwin Harleston or Aaron Douglas, or if there are any connections or parallelisms that you see between
Thank you for that shout out to Fisk. I actually spent my freshman year at Fisk. Yes.
Professor, you want to take it?
Freshman year. Do you want to handle that, or do you want to? Okay. Well, I would say that there are parallels and connections between those artists because they were all figurative and they were also narrative. They all had stories, and they were all committed to promoting positive images of the Black diaspora. They weren't using Black diaspora as a term at them, but what they were doing was they were what you call race men, and they were promoting positive images of Black people. So I think there's a lot of parallels going on there. Thanks. Any other questions? Yes, and then here. No. There are two Lewis, if you're not familiar, there are two Lewis museums in Baltimore. The Reginald Lewis Museum of African American History and Culture of Maryland is down on the harbor, and the James E. Lewis Museum, which is why we call it JELMA. That's why we're branding it as JELMA, so there's less confusion. So your question.
I'm from the Bell Center, and I taught Jeremy for 2 semesters after me. And I had taught this course before, but I've never seen any way someone actually took the history. Actually took the history and entwined it into the art. They would either do an art program or do some art faces or whatever, but they never actually did both and did them together. And I'm really impressed by that.
Thank you. There was a question over here. Yes.
This is for Dr. Gill. I'm one of the founding faculty members of that School of Global Journalism and Communication. So I'm curious, how did you do telecommunications as an artist? What was the connection, or was there a connection?
Well, there was not a connection. I taught Introduction to Mass Media. I taught Television Production 1 and 2. I wrote the internship program, placed students, and checked on them. But while I was here for 1 year, I did teach a course for the art department in Banneker Hall. It was a general course. It was a visual course. It seemed like it dealt with a lot of different cultures. And I took just about all the courses in museumology at the time. But I don't have a museumology degree because I didn't complete my thesis. And the thesis was, one of the people in the thesis was about Camille Pissarro, who's considered the father of Impressionism. And many of Frederick Alston's pieces are identified with Impressionism.
Next question. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is James Morgan. I'm teaching in the history department here. I'm in Canada. My name is James Morgan. I teach in the history department here, and I'm in Canada for my PhD. May 2026 can't come quick enough. For those who don't know, Jeremy is actually my stepbrother, and I have a question for you. Can you talk a little bit more about iconography and the influences for Alston, and just thinking about kind of the symbolism that Divine Nine organizations start utilizing back then? Where in your research are they kind of getting some of these ideas from for using, knight heads and swords and all these different type of things? Did you find any influences that, or other previous artists or other movements that would have been influencing the kind of choices that they're making stylistically?
So good question. That's something, I'll let everyone know here. I'm in the decision-making stage of if I'm going to stay and further my education. So I'm in the beginning of my research. And that's a great question because that's what I'm researching right now to see what was the influence of the design. And what I've gotten so far is that there is a fraternity member that was instrumental in putting that stuff together. Of course, I can't tell that story, but I'm looking into it now.
Okay. Question here? Yes. You're going to have to speak up into the mic.
Do you have any artwork in the James E. Lewis Museum?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
And what do you plan to do after you get your master's degree?
So I got to make some decisions. Of course, first and foremost, I need a job. I am currently working at the Cultural Center, the Habit of Grace Cultural Center, Museum and Cultural Center. So I'm going to put some more energy in there, and we'll make some decisions when I get this master's degree.
Any other questions? In the back, yes.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Antia DeShields from the Department of English and Language Arts. My question is for all of the panelists. So you mentioned wanting an authentic, am I not loud enough? Oh, forgive me. I'll step up as well. Hello again, everyone. You mentioned wanting, and this is for, let's see, Brother Cherry, Brother Ballard, and Dr. Gill mentioned wanting an authentic education for you, Brother Ballard. And Dr. Gill, you mentioned wanting or encouraging students to do race work, to record Black culture and Black history. I wonder that in this contentious political environment, what advice you would give to young artists, visual and creative artists, those who are in English, interested in writing, rap artists, what advice you would give them for identifying, one, inspiration, and two, the courage to record that history, and thirdly, to actually promote that culture once it is recorded.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack, so I'm going to let the panelists speak first, and then I'm going to follow up. Would you like to take that first?
Well, I think we should do what we usually do in times of trouble, and that is bind together. As individual artists work alone a lot. They have a lot of time to think. They need time to create. And I think the best thing to do during these troubling times is to focus on how we can help each other and how we can research and continue to learn from the past in terms of our history. The focus not on slavery, but the focus of what we've achieved in spite of it.
I think the best artwork comes out of times of trouble. I think that some of the, if you look back historically, we learn about ourselves through the artwork. We learn about what we went through, we learn about our struggles. So I encourage artists during times of trouble to create because it's therapeutic as well. So yeah.
I concur with both of our speakers. I would add that politics does not stop culture. Artists do not rely on politics for permission to create culture. So anyone who's making art right now, whatever your art form is, whether it's photography, ceramics, drawing, painting, maybe it's string tying, do what you want to do and do not wait for permission to create. I also want to say that in addition to being a curator, I'm also a painter, I'm an assemblage artist, and I'm a puppeteer. I don't ask permission to do my shows. I would encourage you not to wait to ask for permission. Just do what you want to do. Next question, one and then two.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chanel Green. I'm here as a non-traditional freshman in family and consumer science, but I also lead a youth program in barbering and nails. My goal is to integrate museums and local art into our designs. But every time I go to a museum, they're telling me no. Is there space at Jelma for my students to be able to explore and learn more so that they can integrate it into the nails and barbering fields?
We are open to working with community, and I think that's a good side question. What you need to do is just come to me, let's sit down and talk and find out what assets we have that might benefit you and what you might bring to us. It's a symbiotic relationship. We're very interested in working with community when we can. But keep in mind, Jelma is first and primarily a university museum. So our first commitment is to students and faculty, and then also to community. But yes, give me a call.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And we had another question? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mr. Emil Cromwell from Havre de Grace, Maryland, and I'm a little chilled right now because the young man sitting up on the stage, Mr. Ballard, came to us at the museum and really helped upgrade our museum. And This comment is really for Brother Ballard and all the young people here. All you young people here have a cosmic mission in your life. All the things that you need are there to get you once you discover your cosmic mission. The Creator has everything in place. I told Brother Ballard, he told me, he said, Brother Cromwell, the whole history, what you just heard about him going, doing research and looking for information that had been here for 30-some years, and no one really discovered it because it wasn't a part of their cosmic mission. You follow what I'm saying? So the young man sitting right on the stage helped put all of this together, okay? Because it was part of his cosmic mission to do this. So evidently all the other people who might have gone down there might have seen it, but it wasn't a part of their mission, so they didn't take the next step. So once again, I can't say enough about the young man on the stage and all the young people here. And if you ever have the time, come up to Havre de Grace to see us at the Havre de Grace Color School Musician. All right? Museum. And it was originally a high school. It was the first high school for African Americans in Harford County. And last thing I say to all the young people I speak to and have the opportunity to speak to, time is yours not to get back. Time is yours to use wisely. And also has to do with service. The service you do for others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cromwell. Woo-woo. We have time for 2 more questions. 1? Yes.
This is a question for all the panelists. How has the visual and performing arts curriculum evolved to reflect contemporary social and cultural issues?
A little slowly.
How has the visual and performing arts curriculum evolved to reflect contemporary social and cultural issues?
It might be an educator question.
I'm going to have to ask you to answer that one more time. And speak into the mic and say it slowly. Go ahead.
Okay. How has the visual and performing arts curriculum evolved to reflect contemporary social and cultural issues?
How has the curriculum evolved?
Oh, how has the curriculum evolved?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we do have some educators in the audience. I don't want to put them on the spot, but if there's anybody who speaks to the evolution of the curriculum, you can do that. What I can speak to is the evolution of JELMA. JELMA started off as a very eclectic museum. We've got a very eclectic collection. We've got works from Asia, Africa, Oceania, in addition to the US. But we are now in the position of branding ourselves as Maryland's premier museum for African and Black diaspora art. We have other art, but we are the strongest institution in the state of Maryland focusing primarily on Black diaspora and African art. One more question? Yes.
Is there a tabletop book with all of the work that's in JELMA, or is there, in the future, because I know you should be doing a digital art, but will there be a possibility of tabletop book?
We are focusing on digital because it's got broader access, but we do have some publications in the museum, and we're one of the few museums that actually offer these things for free. So if you come to us, I don't think we have 200 copies of anything, but if the first 5 of you that come to the museum, come to the museum and you can see the catalogs that are available. We have 2 catalogs that are more comprehensive, and then we have some catalogs that are more exhibition specific. So come visit us. Yeah, thank you. I would like to have us give a hand to our panelists. Thank you for So if you'll remain seated, we're going to close out our presentation with a benediction, and I'm going to ask Reverend Lawrence Lockett to come up and close us out.
All right. Y'all deeply encouraged? I am. I don't know about you. Let's give a round of applause again just for the panelists in this convocation. Dr. Cherry, Dr. Gill, and Mr. Ballard. Thank you all very much. Let's pray. Lord God, as we just depart from this JELMA convocation, we just ask for your continued guidance, your support, and just how you're just working all things together, Lord God, for your good. Thank you for this history lesson as we just take time just to reflect, and it's a great look at the past, but it's more of an empowerment and encouragement, Lord, for us to walk forward in our purpose and what you have called us to do. So as we leave this place, may we never, ever leave your presence. May your protection surround us, your grace guide us, and your love sustain us. In your name we pray. Amen.